Right, I've now got to the stage where I'm ready to cast off. I've done some more rows of the base colour since the last video, so there's base colour right the way round. So I did 4 rows, 2 on this side, 2 on that side, and now I'm ready to finish off. Now black is my base colour, so black is the first of these stitches, therefore the blacks are all knit stitches and the greens are going to be all purl stitches. And for this kitchen cast off, the first thing I'm going to do is actually do a purl all the way along and just make these black ones not get knitted. So I'm going to end up with an extra row of the green, and then the extra row of black will be done separately with a needle. So here I am actually starting off just pulling that one off but not actually doing anything with it, and then this one is going to get, oops, I don't want the black, only the green. This one's going to get purled, and then I pull that behind so this is out of the way whilst I pull that black over. Then the green comes back to the front so that I can do my purl stitch. Then it goes behind so I can pull that black over. I'm not knitting it, I'm just putting it over, slipping it over. Then green comes forward for the purl stitch, and so on to the end of the row. Slip it over, back, purl stitch, green out of the way, slip it over, green to the front, purl stitch, green behind, slip the black over, green to the front for the purl stitch, on and on. Until we get to the end. And for this, because we're doing a cast off, we're making sure that every stitch is secure, and so I'm not going to do a slip stitch at the end to make things neat. I'm going to do a purl stitch at the end so that it can't escape. So forward, and that last one gets purled as well. Oh no, it's caught by that piece of thread. And there I've now got an extra row on the back that you can't really see, just makes it a bit more bulky, and not on the black, which also means that the black is now at this end and the green is at this end, and the green I've finished with, so I can actually snip that off and that can be sewn in. I'm not going to worry about sewing it in just at the moment because I'm going to show you what to do next. This is the bit where, if you are on needles that have blobby bits at the end, so if I was on one of these sorts of needles, the next thing I would need to do would be to actually just pass all the stitches back onto a different needle, because I need my needle to be pointing the opposite way. If you're on a double-ended needle, or you're like me on one of these circular needles, all you have to do is push it to the other end, because now what we're going to do is work from the black end. Push that right the way there. So I'm going to be working from this end and working my way all the way off, so when I get back to there everything will have gone. So that's to be sewn in, finished with, and this is the bit that I'm going to use to actually finish everything off, totally black. So 1, 2, 3, 4, about 5 times the width of work should be fine. take those ones away, and I need to bring in a needle. So I'm going to put this yarn onto the needle, which is about 5 times the width of the work, and then we start sewing the thing off. Now, every time I take a stitch off, if it's a black stitch I'm taking off, it's going to be what was a knit stitch, and for knitting I always put the needle in like that for knitting, so that's how I take them off. And all of the green ones are going to be purl stitches, so when I take them off I come in from that way, same as you do with purling. So that's once we get going and taking the stitches off. In between times, what I need to do is actually make sure that all of these stitches are sewn together. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually make sure that this stitch is caught. So I'm just going to go in from this side and pull the wool through. And then I need to make sure I've caught this stitch. So I'm going to go from the back, so this goes round, and I'm going to go between those 2 stitches. So I've gone in there, come out here, and then I'm going to catch that green stitch but come out the back the same place as I went in. So I'm now on this side of the green stitch going in, and I come out there, which is where I went in before. And that means that those 2 stitches are now well stitched in, and I can start taking things off. So here we go. I'm going to take a black off now. So to take a black one off, I go in as if it was knitting, not purling. So I do that and push it off. And then I need to pick up the next one I'm going to knit. So that's the next knit stitch. So I come in that way round. Tighten that up a bit and see what happens. Now the next one's a green, so to take a green off I do it as if it's a purl, because it's a purl stitch, so I pull it off, pulling through as for a purl stitch. And then I go around the back and I do this thing of going between these 2, underneath the needle, to pick up the green stitch. So I'm going in here, but I'm coming back where I went in to begin with, in between the stitches underneath the needle, and that's called the green one. So now the next is a black. To take a black off I go in like a knit that way round and pull it off. So I've got that one off. Then I need to pick up the next knit, so I do that just straight away like that. Then I'm going to pull off this one. This one's a purl, so I'll pull it off with the purl feel to it. You go off. I'll tighten things up a bit. Then I come between those 2 and catch that green one going back, so I come back out where I went in. That's called the green one. Now I'm going to go for taking the black one off, so that's going to be a knit stitch way of putting it through, and pull it off. Tighten things a bit, and then I come around the front, because this was a knitty one, and I pick up the next knit stitch like that. Next is a green, so I do a purl to pull it off. Go around the back, come through, go to the other side of the green and go out and back out the way as I came in. Next one's pull it off as though I was doing a knit. And then pick up the next knit stitch to make sure that it's caught well in. Then slip off a purl round the back between green. Next is a knit stitch, so I'll go through that way round. And hook up the next one. Oops. Then that way round for a purl stitch coming off. And then between, and hook up that green. Now it's a black, so it's going to be that way round as I pull it off. And hook up the next. Then this is purl from behind through back to catch that green from the left for a knit stitch to catch it. Just catch the next one. Oops, I see a bit of a loop there. Get rid of that. I'll regret it later. Then that one pulls off as a purl. Because it's a purl, we come from the back, pick up that green, go out where we came in. Oops. Now it's a knit stitch, take it off like that, and catch the next knit stitch, purl and off through and catch that green. Then it's going to be a knit stitch coming off, and pick up the next knit stitch. Exciting, isn't it? Purl comes off, between, pick up that green. It's alright, you can always fast forward to the end if you're getting bored. Oops, losing my last green there. Where am I? Right, so that's black. Black is a knit, so you come off like that. And then you pick up the next knit. Then a purl sort of thing to knock that one off in between, through and back out the way we came in. Then that one is a knit stitch, so I come in from the left. I pick up the next one. Then I do one which is a purl one, so I knock it off that way, go in between the two. Come back the way I went in, but catching that green. You can see now that I can tighten that up a bit, but I've now only got two left. So if I keep going, the next thing to do is to pull that black off this way round, but then I can't pick up the next black because there isn't a next black, and so instead I pick up the last green that way round because it is a purl. And then I should find what I've got there is a not very neat cast off, because I'm trying to do this whilst cuddling a camera, having one arm on one side of the camera, one on the other, but good enough, that will do. So there's two ends there which will need to be sewn in, and obviously I've got that ready to sew in with my needles there. But once I've done that, the whole thing will be finished. I've got it green triangle on black on that side, black triangle on green on that side,